Hey everybody, good afternoon. It's Thursday and this is our Ask Me Anything time. My name is Dustin Strong and this is Strong on Health. So what we do is we answer any questions you have regarding your health, regarding diet, regarding food, and make sure that you're empowered with information that puts you in a position where you can make a more informed decision about what's happening with your health. I got two major questions that I'm going to address today. I had people asking about veganism and concerns over what to do if somebody has decided to be a vegan and how to support that. And the other one is about ulcerative colitis, and I'm going to blend them in together a little bit. So the first one about vegans is, first of all, what I love about the idea is that you tend to, if you do it right, remove a lot of the things that could potentially be stressing your body. However, the biggest caveat on that is if you are being a vegan, that means that you are eating vegetables, meaning lots of vegetables, and that's what I like. When vegans decide to become vegan and they just eat bagels and vegan donuts and pasta, those aren't vegans. Those are what we call pastatarians, bageltarians, and donutarians. So you're not getting all the micronutrients from those. You have to still get all the micronutrients. And so if you are somebody who's a vegan, you have to make sure you're getting a ton of vegetables, as you should be. But the biggest ones that I would say to be cautious and make sure you're getting enough of, number one, vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 tends to be difficult for a lot of vegans to get. Nooch is something that they are familiar with. It's nutritional yeast, and that's usually a good way to get your vitamin B12 in as a vegetarian, or sometimes supplementing with B12 can be helpful. Also, getting healthy fats. They tend to not get enough healthy fats, and fats are essential. We have to get that omega-3, the DHA, EPA, and walnuts. Walnuts are one of the best ways that you're going to get those, but overall, nuts and seeds are going to satisfy a lot of the fat needs. So if you are a vegetarian and you're eating nothing but vegetables, make sure that you're getting healthy nuts and seeds in there so you're getting the healthy fats in there as well. And then finally, proteins. Now, a tendency can be that the diet gets a little restrictive and they're not getting a full amino acid profile. We have 22 different amino acids, and from those we make 50,000 unique combinations to repair everything in this body. If you're not getting all of the essential amino acids, you're reducing your body's ability to make all those repairs because you're not getting all the supplies to do that. So just be careful that you're getting a full amino acid profile when you are going and trying out veganism or being a vegan. And nuts and seeds, again, are going to help you out with that tremendously. Pumpkin seeds, peely nuts have a complete amino acid profile in them. Walnuts have almost all of them. But getting a variety of those, and of course getting your beans in there as well. Now, rice and beans can be a great way to get almost all of your amino acids too, but I'm very careful with rice, very cautious, making sure that it is organic, that it's long grain, and it's wild, because there can be a lot of contamination in rice. So just be careful with the quality of rice when you're doing that. So the cool thing about that is if you're doing that right, you're getting a huge variety of different fibers and vegetables. And this goes into the next question because it has a lot to do with the health of your microbiome. So the question that we had was, how can you help someone who has ulcerative colitis for several years, current age early 20s, and has been told by doctors that they need to have their large intestine removed? And I'm really happy that somebody's questioning that. Anytime you come to a point where somebody says, you know what, we're just going to take that organ out, that's when you have to start asking questions. And yes, you want to have faith and you want to believe that this person is the expert and they know. But if that's the only solution that they have, maybe they haven't asked enough questions or fully understood the absolute complexity of what's going on. The more diverse the microbiome, and what the microbiome is all the probiotics that you have living in your gut. You've got trillions of organisms living in your body, and we're all starting to become a little more aware of that, but if you're not aware of it yet, embrace this idea. They help us out with making vitamin K, with vitamin B, with making neurotransmitters. There's so many things. This is a synergistic thing happening that they're helping us, and it's way beyond our full comprehension. But the bottom line is the more complex it is, the more diverse it is, the stronger you are as an individual. When they look at those individuals who live further from a industrialized civilization, they have a very complex microbiome, and it is keeping them very strong, especially their immune system very strong. But there are nearly 300,000 edible plants we have learned recently on this planet. And as Americans, we only eat 100 to 200 of them. So our diversity is entirely limited as far as what we can do to feed that microbiome. So instead of just looking at it and saying, hey, that's not working, let's take this intestine out, maybe we should look at what's supposed to be in that intestine, and it's supposed to be tons of diversity. Now, what that means is there's a lot of microbes, and not to freak anybody out, but the number one thing I would be concerned about, or I would investigate into if I was having that kind of condition, is whether or not there might be a microorganism in there that is taking more than its share. And what I'm talking about is parasites, okay? Parasites exist. They can be in healthy people, and in fact, sometimes they're using them in autoimmune conditions in certain areas in doctors' offices to help with that. But when they get out of control, they can take way more than their share, and they can create a whole host of issues. A lot of people will estimate that like 9 out of 10 people have this condition, and that is something to rule out. And if you have not ruled that out, before removing the entire organ, maybe see if we just need to remove a pest that's in the organ, or something that's taking advantage of the free meals that are coming in there all the time. And we get exposed to them all the time. If you have pets, if you have dogs and cats, your likelihood is pretty high that your exposure to them is there, that they can get into you as well. If you have birds or any type of animals, they're gonna help increase your exposure to that. If you're eating raw sushi, or if you're not cleaning your food, you're going to get exposed to these things. And so they get into this mix of what's down there, and they can create a terrible situation. And finding that out and removing them is really quite, there are more elegant solutions, let's put it that way, than removing the organ. So that would be the first thing I would look at. Now, a caution, you may want to go do like a stool sample or something like that and see if there's evidence of it, and they're getting more and more complicated, but they're not 100% accurate, so you may want to investigate deeper and deeper and deeper into what are the signs and symptoms that could mean that I actually have this type of infestation of some type of bug. Now, having colitis is probably a good sign that there's a potential of that happening. Now, colitis, what does that mean? It's just inflamed, right? You have an inflamed colon. That's what colitis means. So what is creating the inflammation is the other thing. Now, for whoever this is that asked that question, there's actually an excellent video I'd love to send to you as a resource to help you be more and more empowered about this specifically. So if you feel like sending us an email, or whoever it is, I'll look into it and we'll send you a little more information, because there's a lot of things you can do. And when you start to understand the complexity of that microbiome and knowing how much it takes to repair that and how many things are making it easy for something like this opportunistic to happen, you really get a lot more self-knowledge and power about what you can do about it before resorting to just having that organ removed. You need that large intestine for so many things. So I would first try to rule out ways to make sure that the balance of the microbiome that's supposed to be in there is there first. Now, there are a couple other things that can contribute to that. You can have endocrine things that can be affecting your digestive tract and your colon. You could be eating too much gluten and sugar, which can be inflammatory, especially if you're not digesting it. So if your stomach acid isn't digesting things right and you get these down into the lower intestine, that can be a huge contributing factor too. So we want to look at it in a much bigger way and understanding what are the things that could be contributing to the inflammation down there that I'm constantly throwing in there. Can I remove those? Will that help? And is there something existing in there that isn't supposed to be there that we can help remove? Maybe it's a virus, maybe it's a bacteria overgrowth, maybe it is a parasite, but whatever it is, if that exists there, removing the colon does not necessarily remove the problem, because it's going to be a systemic problem too. So I would definitely look into options on that. I would do a lot of research on that, and if you want more detailed information, you can give us an email and I'll send you some links to some other resources for you so you can just flush out your knowledge on that and make sure that you are making a fully educated decision based on the true complexity of what's happening down there, as opposed to just taking the organ out. That goes for any organ that people are trying to remove from your body, guys. If somebody's trying to take an organ out of your body, make sure you've exhausted all the things that could be causing whatever the problem is and remove those first, because it's there for a reason. There's just not willy-nilly organs in here. This is all very precious real estate, and you're looking at these organs taking up that real estate for a specific purpose and a reason that keeps you alive. So do your best to keep your organs in your body, and if they are taken out, understand what that means and how you can compensate for that if that does happen. The large intestine is one that I would fight tooth and nail to keep in my body and make sure that I've exhausted everything to make sure that I have that in there. But this goes on to more talk about what's going on with your microbiome, and it's a much longer discussion. Anybody's had overexposure to antibiotics and all kinds of things that could be decimating your microbiome, you're going to have things that you're going to want to be focusing on to rebuild that. You're going to have challenges with your digestion. So it's really important for us to understand this relationship with the microbes that are living in your body. And I hope that gives you kind of some guidance, some hope, some inspiration. If you have any other questions, like I said, bring those in. Thank you guys for watching on this. And anybody out there you know that is about to have their organs removed, really just get a second opinion, get a third opinion, get different opinions, because there are many things that you can do before actually just having an organ removed. Now, there may be a case where it has to, because it could be end state and things are really dangerous. And if that's the case, still make sure that you have another person confirm that before you're actually having that done. That's a pretty significant change for the rest of your life. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. We are already getting a few of the local restaurants fired up and online to be getting into the Healthy This Way initiative. So pretty soon we're going to have some options for you out there where you can go in and know what the healthiest options on the menu are going to be. We're very excited about that. So please keep that information coming in to help us with those restaurants. And we will see you next week on Tuesday with more questions. Have a good weekend.